What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch with the Clydesdale. It is Friday. We're heading into that weekend. Had a little holiday yesterday. Got a day off and then had to come back to work today. Gosh, what an awful way to do the work week. You get a day off and you think, I can relax. Nope, right back to work for a day, and here we are. But I shouldn't complain too much. I get to work from home. But I'm going to throw my dart and then we're going to talk. So here we go. Oh, gosh, into the wall. All right. That was bad. What's going on, Kenneth Helson? Good to see you guys. So, yeah, so today at in a couple hours, my wife is heading up to Put-in-Bay to spend time with her family. Here in Ohio on Lake Erie, there's an island called Put-in-Bay. It's only accessible by boat. They're going up there tonight to hang out for the night, and then she'll be back tomorrow evening. But since she's had her knee replacement surgery, we have not started her car one time. And so when we went to do it this week, it did not start. The battery is completely dead. So I have a guy coming at 1:00 to put a new battery in. So I'll have to cut the show a little bit short. I worked yesterday trying to charge the battery, trying to jump start the car, to no avail. The meter on my battery charger said that the battery is bad. So I took it at its word and called to have a guy bring a new one out. So hopefully she can take that car. If not, I'll just be carless for the next 2 days, hanging out here, doing some yard work and all of that kind of stuff. But got to get that stuff done anyway. So maybe it's a sign that I need to get that stuff done. If you did not see, the last chance qualifiers have come to an end and they are official. And they posted on Instagram today. The winners of the last chance qualifier, no big surprise. Yonakoski on the men, Lydia Fish on the female side. There you see the winners. What I found interesting is if I go to my Hustle Up app, they actually have a spot. Let me stop sharing my screen. All of a sudden, they have a spot. I don't know if you can see that, video unavailable, for where a video can go. Now on the Yonakoski, and I'll go to that. 4 of his are unavailable, but 1 you can see. So it does have the ability to have the videos right there in the app. And here we go. Workout 3 for Yonakoski. You can see that the video is available on the app, but we didn't get to see this all week. These just came available today. If they are under public, if they are listed as private, then we get the video unavailable at this time. But it is something that they are able to do. I actually like the app for its functionality, but man, it makes it hard as a podcaster to be able to share anything with you guys on that. I'd have to sign it in as a separate person and pull it up. And it just, man, it'd be nice if there was a leaderboard somewhere accessible on the web where we could actually grab it and show. But I just found it interesting that all of a sudden everything's final, and now they did put the video links in, but you can't see them all. So there we go. So congratulations, Lydia Fish. Congratulations, Yonakoski. You are going to the CrossFit Games. Apparently the PFAA is still around. They put out an announcement yesterday, and I can never find them on Instagram. There we go. So I think it's this one. Here we go. They put out what they're calling a white paper on heat training for competition and preparation. Haven't heard from PFAA and ever since the please do this or we're all gone letter. So here we are, heat training for competition and preparation. They brought in Chloe Farnman, Jeremy Reardon, and Gomar DeHust to talk about this. And you can see they actually did a podcast. I think it's available on the PFAA YouTube channel. But if you're interested in that, go for it. Go check it out. I think it's kind of common sense that that you should train in the heat if you're going to work out in the heat and compete in the heat. That just kind of makes sense to me. But apparently we need a white paper. And the word white paper just gives me like the, I don't know, the ugh. And so I looked it up, like what the definition of a white paper was, because why does it give me the ugh? And I found out why. Sorry, I've got my phone ringer on just in case the guy with my battery comes. So definition of a white paper is, I'll blow this up. It is a government or other authoritative report giving information or proposals on an issue. Why they keep calling it a white paper? It makes no sense to me. I have been asked to write white papers a ton with the government, with the state government that I work for. And now I know why it gives me the heebie-jeebies, because I hate writing them. They're stupid. They're just little one-pagers that are supposed to be quick hitters that you can just hand to somebody. So the PFAA, Brent always calls what they put out a white paper. And so it just doesn't, I don't know. I guess, are they an authoritative report? They're not government. The PFAA is not government. But are they authoritative? I don't think Brent and the PFAA are experts on heat training. They brought in experts to do this. But regardless, I guess that's what it is. That's what they put out. And I just find it interesting that that's the hill that they're willing to die on at this point in time, after the threats went unanswered and then they kind of went away for a while. And their first thing back is coming back with training in the heat. I don't know. They are experts in their own head. Kenneth DeLapp, the head of the Marine Corps, personal message to the force has been referred to as a white letter. So I don't know if a white letter is something different. But I have been asked to write a white paper a lot in my job. Well, my former job, when I was up a couple pay grades and over people, but it was usually just used for like my director going into a meeting. So he had kind of like a high level look at, or an overarching look at a topic so he could speak on it in the meeting with some view of authority. I just find it weird that the PFAA is using white paper, but okay, that's just my little hiccup. The other thing that came out since we talked yesterday is the barbell spin got out his detective glasses and found where event 1 most likely will be for the CrossFit Games. In the PFAA's case, it means toilet paper. I am sure that the information in it is fine. We're not in Texas anymore. Why would you pick that to be the next thing other than you want to highlight Lazar's death from last year again? That is what is confounding to me, is that we're now in New York. We're in New Albany. Can it get hot there? Sure. It's summertime. It can get hot anywhere in the U.S. during the summertime. But we're not in Fort Worth anymore, where heat is a major factor to the CrossFit Games. We're also in a very large arena where most of the events will happen indoors. Why a paper on heat this year, this time, unless you want to bring back to the forefront that a person died last year at the CrossFit Games during an extremely warm morning of day 1. That's what my fear is with this, that they don't want that to die, and they want that to stay in the forefront for everybody. Because it doesn't make as much sense this year when you're in upstate New York. Just my little opinion on that. So this does not help Lazar's legacy. I completely agree. So, all right. So Spin is out doing his detective work again. He is so good at this, finding where things are going to be. So here's a picture of a running trail. I guess it's a really long one it's called the Empire State Running Trail. It is very long in the state of New York. And he has found where this could be actually like where the run happens, where they could actually put the rowers. And so I think he has a map. Here it is. So he has like a Google map of this is the running trail. And then here is the start finish. Here is mile 1 and mile 5. Here is mile 2 and mile 4, where you would put the rowers. Then you run out and you do a turnaround, and you would come the whole way back. So the last leg is 4 miles, 2 miles to the rowers, 4 miles all the way back to the start line. If you want more information on this, he has a full article on the barbellspin.com. But he always seems to figure this stuff out. And I don't know how he does it and how he gets access to like public records for all this stuff, but he figures it out and he's so good at it. I just wanted to highlight that it appears this is where the first event will be for the CrossFit Games. So then now you know. I did want to talk about, I watched the In the Box Office podcast last night. And I think enough people have like said their piece about it. I find it weird that I don't even know how to say it. You have these people on there that have decided that they didn't want to participate in the CrossFit Games season. And they talk about it openly, as it's been said on other shows and things. They didn't give a lot of examples, but they just felt like they wanted to do that. I think her name is Mesa. Mesa said she's opening a gym. It's going to be a WFP affiliate as opposed to a CrossFit affiliate. They love the community, but they just can't tolerate what CrossFit has done as a sport since then. And I really have a hard time understanding why you're blaming the sport for what you do in the affiliates. And because the affiliates and the sport are two different things. As much as we want to try to bring them together, 90% of the people in the affiliates have no idea the sport exists. 90%. And CrossFit has done an amazing job at creating a great community inside the affiliates. And so I just don't get it. To blame the sport for why you aren't involved in the community of CrossFit anymore sounds counterintuitive to me. Nothing that happened at the games last year should have taken anything away from your community at your affiliate. Nothing. So I'm just really confounded by that. The other thing I'll say is I do give them kudos to go on a channel like Be Friendly as your first podcast and to have, I think they had a couple hundred viewers last night on this podcast. When I started mine, nobody knew who I was. I had like 3 people in the audience. So it's a lot easier to kind of like roll out what you're going to be and what you're going to do. When you roll out your first podcast to hundreds of people, as opposed to like 2 people, it's a lot harder to do what they're doing. I didn't know what I wanted to be until like episode 40. So like, kudos to them for putting themselves out on a channel like that. They get that advantage of like having an already created listener base, but man, you are building your podcast under fire. And that is crazy. Because I was terrible at my first handful of podcasts. Hell, maybe the first couple hundred. Like, I think I'm just really finding a groove now. And that's 1,000 episodes in. It's taken a long time to kind of get beat up and get the constructive criticism and walk through stuff and what you believe and where it'll be. And it's just really hard. And, so many people, Corey and I talked about this on Wednesday, like so many athletes haven't even made it to episode 5. It's really hard. And when you're an athlete like that and you already have a built-in audience, you're out there talking to a lot of people to start off and you have no wiggle room to try to figure it out. And so when I first got into this, I researched it. Most podcasts don't make it to 10. Now, Sousa said today, like 90% don't make it to 5. And then from that, another big chunk don't make it to 8. My view was just keep plugging and just outlast. And I heard a guy say that. Just keep going and outlast everything. And eventually you'll figure it out as you go. So first Aaron says that's more than Brian gets live. Aaron says Savon talking about them helps get views. They could lean into it. They could, but I don't think they know who they are yet. They're trying to figure this out on the fly. And that's, if I was to talk to somebody starting a new podcast, you need to jump in both feet and figure it out on the fly. It's the only way you're going to know if you're doing it right or wrong. But you better have some damn thick skin when you jump in, having a couple hundred viewers right off the get-go. And if Savon's talking about you and you get more, then you better have some really deep skin or thick skin, because you're going to get hammered in comments. You're going to get hammered in chats, and you better be ready for all of that. My NFL podcast idea didn't even make it to one episode. That's a lot of people are like paralysis by analysis. You overthink everything. And my advice to anybody who wants to do a podcast is jump in feet first. Usually you have nobody listening at the beginning, so you can work it all out for a good handful or more of episodes. And what's funny is when I started this one, I started another one about craft beer. My craft beer one was actually bigger off the get-go. And I probably learned more from it than I did from this one, because it got big really fast. But it wasn't beneficial to my health. So I gave that one up and ended up coming over to this. Kenneth, I missed the Bible show, but I get it. It's still something that I feel called to do, Kenneth. I just don't know where I'm going to fit it into my week. And I think there are sometimes, especially when I stopped doing that, I needed to sort some things out privately myself to figure it out. So, Jeffrey Birchfield, dang, I missed it. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Jody. The Bible in a Year pod. Jay Birch, I love some craft beer. I used to, but I haven't drank in 18 months. So I wouldn't be a good host of a podcast about craft beer now that I've quit drinking. So Jay Birch Bible show was good too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's the Bible show is a lot more work than any of the other shows I do. I will say that. And it takes a lot more mentally. So Kenneth says sip and spit. Yeah. It was a fun show. Maybe some episode I'll tell you guys about it. We did some really fun. We used to set up the podcast at breweries and talk to the brewers, and do all that kind of stuff. And then we had shows in my basement here where everybody would bring a sample of something and we would sample around the table. And then give our reviews of the beers we went. But it was fun. It was a fun show for sure. So, well, good luck to Kate and Mesa on their endeavor. I think they were getting hit pretty hard last night. Hopefully they're back for a few more. At least they're open to talk about what they feel, and not everybody is. It's just going to be interesting to see if they're able to take it a little bit more moving forward. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is I got a chance to watch the Brett Favre documentary last night. And I will preface this with, I'm a Chicago Bear fan. I have never liked Brett Favre, but it was just because he was on the rival team. What I learned about last night in that documentary is that Brett Favre is a total scumbag. If you have not seen the documentary, it is really rough, especially for people like Helson, who are a Packers fan. It's a rough podcast. It's a rough documentary. It's only an hour long. It's one of the Untold series on Netflix. My wife came in about halfway through the documentary, and she was so pulled into it. She's going to go back and watch the first half. So it's a quick watch. I think her name is Jen. They go into two big deals in his life that were really scumbagish. And one is there was a pregame reporter with the New York Jets named Jen. I don't want to mess her name up. Jen Stelger. I know I'm messing it up. Anyway, the Jets had hired her the same year Brett Favre went to the Jets. Sturger. Jen Sturger. That is it. Thank you, Helson. Basically, Brett Favre stalks her. And she's the one that paid the price for that, not him. And it is a travesty. I remember it when it happened. And I can tell you the mainstream media did not tell the full story that this documentary tells. Because my feelings at the time were very different than what I saw last night and how I felt last night. What he did to her is ridiculous. And then they go into the allegations where he stole TANF money or welfare money from the state of Mississippi to pay for a volleyball center at Mississippi State where his daughter was playing in his alma mater, and that they were writing checks personally to Brett Favre himself and companies that he held. When you're stealing welfare money from the people in Mississippi, you are a total scumbag. You're a former NFL quarterback who made millions of dollars, and you're stealing welfare money from the state of Mississippi. Now, I knew about that going into the documentary. The details of it, I did not know. And it really, really paints that picture. So I highly recommend it. It's really well done. Brett Favre did not interview for this documentary. He elected not to. The New York Jets did not make a statement or interview for this documentary. But there were a lot of reporters, a lot of people around the scenes. There were some people from the Packers that did speak. And so I highly recommend it. It's really good. Really good. I'm hoping while my wife's away tonight, I'm going to watch Surviving Ohio State as I live here in Columbus. I know how that news story broke. I am interested to see what goes on with this because, well, once I watch it, I'll talk about it with everybody next week. But I think that's my next documentary that I'm going to watch is Surviving Ohio State. So, because I've got to get a new battery in my car, I'm going to call it quits right now. But Corey, if you're still in the chat, LSU, I know they're in the finals. Did they play yet? And they got to the finals in a wacky, bizarre way. Dateline had a 2-hour special on Karen Reed last night, if anyone is interested. That's from Train to Live. People were talking about this at work through our chat. I don't really even know anything about it. I try to avoid everything true crime because my wife watches so much of it. She was accused of killing her cop boyfriend, husband, something like that, correct? And I don't know the significance of it. If you can say it in a one-line chat, Train to Live, that'd be awesome. If not, I'll go look it up and figure it out later. But I know everybody at work is talking about that one. And LSU plays tomorrow night, College World Series, 6 p.m. Central. If people didn't see it, they were down by 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th or bottom of the 7th, whatever they play. And came back in the bottom of that inning because Arkansas could not catch a ball to save their life. 9th inning, yeah. They said there was a cover-up by the police, basically. Dang. Said she didn't know he was there. Okay. Yeah. Again, like I've just been smacked with so much true crime stuff. I just try to avoid it when I can, because that's all my wife watches. That, and she's into like ghost shows. Yeah. Corey, Arkansas couldn't get out of their own way. They had us. Much respect to their team. They did. They had you, and then they apparently forgot how to catch a ball in the 9th inning. It was, they had an easy double play. They just got the lead runner, leaving 1 out available. And then the outfielder tripped when he was going to catch the ball. It went all the way to the wall. It was insane. So with that, guys, we'll keep it short today. Enjoy your weekend. It is supposed to be a flat out scorcher here in Ohio this weekend. We're looking at 95 the next 2 days. So hopefully I can get out and get some yard work done and not melt away. I hope you guys have a great weekend. With that, so glad you could join me today for lunch. As always, you guys are the best in the chat. And I will see everybody Sunday night for Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. Don't forget, we have Raf Duran coming on to talk about team. And then Carolyn, Jamie, and I will talk about all the stuff going on in the CrossFit space. We'll see everybody next time on Lunch with Clydesdale. And you knuckleheads, get back to work. Bye, guys.